For a lot of us over 50, there's this little voice in the back of our minds, right? A nagging concern about our heart. Well, today, we're going to tackle that fear head on. We're going to explore how we can actively prevent and maybe even reverse the clogging of our arteries.
And you know what? It's a totally valid fear. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death across the globe. But here is the key, the part that often gets lost in the noise. It is largely preventable. The choices we make day in and day out have a huge impact on our heart's future. So yeah, the stakes are high, but the power, that's in our hands.
All right, to really get a handle on this, let's use a super simple analogy. I want you to think of your arteries like the plumbing in your house. When your house is new, the pipes are clean, smooth, flexible. Water just flows right through, no problem. But over the decades, what happens? Gunk, minerals, rust, it all starts to build up. The pipes get narrow, they get stiff, and the pressure starts to creep up. Now, a clog in your house, that's a mess. A clog in your body, that's a heart attack or a stroke. For decades, we were all told that cholesterol was public enemy #1, right? Ditch the eggs, stay away from butter, and everything would be fine. But science has moved on, and it's showing us a much, much bigger picture. It's way more complex than just cholesterol.
Okay, so here is the big takeaway, the thing you really need to get. While cholesterol is definitely part of the plaque, it's not the main villain causing the problem. The real culprits, the true drivers of hardening arteries, are inflammation and calcium deposits. Inflammation creates the initial damage, like a little scratch on the inside of the pipe, and then calcium comes along and turns that soft patch into something hard, like concrete. And this whole process, it has a fancy medical name, atherosclerosis. It's that slow, silent hardening and narrowing of our arteries. This is the core problem we're going to solve today. Not with some crazy chemical drain cleaner, but with some incredible tools that nature has already given us.
And here's the really good news. Your body is an amazing, resilient machine. We can actually halt this process using powerful, natural foods. So let's build our 7 toolkit for heart health, and we're going to start with a nutrient that almost nobody ever talks about.
First up, our first tool in the toolkit is vitamin K2. Now, we've all heard about vitamin D and calcium for our bones, but K2 is the missing piece of the puzzle, especially when it comes to keeping your heart healthy. I love this traffic cop metaphor because it's just perfect. It explains exactly what K2 does. See, without K2, calcium is just floating around lost. It ends up getting deposited in the soft tissues, like your arteries, turning them hard and brittle. Vitamin K2 basically steps in, blows its whistle, and tells that calcium exactly where to go. Hey, not here in the arteries. You belong over in the bones. It is absolutely crucial for preventing that dangerous calcification.
All right, so where do you actually get this stuff? Well, the absolute best source is a Japanese fermented soybean dish called natto, but I'll be honest, it's a bit of an acquired taste. For most of us, things like high-quality hard cheeses, think Gouda and Brie, egg yolks from pasture-raised chickens, and goose liver are going to be more practical. And of course, a good K2 supplement is a really easy way to make sure you're getting enough. Okay, tool number 2. Let's move on to a vibrant root vegetable that works some serious wonders for your blood pressure, the humble beet.
So here's the magic behind how beets work. They're absolutely packed with something called dietary nitrates. When you eat them, your body converts these nitrates into a gas called nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is a vasodilator, which is just a fancy way of saying it sends a signal to the tiny muscles lining your artery walls to just chill out, relax. The arteries literally get wider and your blood pressure can drop almost instantly. It's like turning a narrow, bumpy country lane into a smooth 3-lane highway for your blood.
Tool number 3. This one's been a go-to medicine for thousands of years, and for very, very good reason. I'm talking, of course, about garlic. It all comes down to a compound called allicin. Now, think of your LDL, or bad cholesterol. It's not really that bad on its own. It only becomes a problem when it oxidizes. Oxidation is basically like metal rusting, and it's that rusted cholesterol that gets all sticky and starts to cling to your artery walls. Allicin acts like a powerful antioxidant shield, stopping that rust from ever forming in the first place. But listen, here's a little pro tip you absolutely cannot skip. To really unlock garlic's power, you have to activate the allicin, and it's super simple. Just crush or chop a fresh clove, and then, this is the important part, let it sit on the cutting board for about 10 minutes before you cook with it. That little waiting period is where the magic really happens.
All right, on to tool number 4.
And this one is a real non-negotiable for any heart-healthy diet. We're talking about fatty fish.
And why? It's all about omega-3s. This fire extinguisher metaphor is perfect. Remember how we said inflammation is the real start of the problem? It's like a tiny fire that creates little scratches on the inside of your arteries. Well, omega-3s from fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines are nature's best fire department. They go in, they put out that inflammation, and they help heal and smooth out that delicate lining so plaque has nowhere to stick.
Next up, tool number 5. It's a fruit that, funny enough, even kind of looks like a heart, and it's loaded with some really unique protective compounds. Let's talk about the pomegranate.
Now, what's so cool about pomegranates is their effect on the endothelium. That's that super delicate, one-cell-thick inner lining of your blood vessels. Get this, clinical studies have actually shown that drinking pomegranate juice every day can reduce the thickness of the carotid artery wall. It's literally helping to clean out existing plaque while protecting that lining from any future damage. How amazing is that?
Okay, let's grab our 6th tool. It's a super simple snack that can make a huge difference in how flexible your arteries are. Walnuts.
So, walnuts work in a couple of fantastic ways. They're a great source of those plant-based omega-3s, but they also have an amino acid called arginine. And your body uses arginine as the raw material to make, you guessed it, nitric oxide, the exact same stuff we saw with beets. This helps your arteries become more supple, more flexible, and that reduces the strain on your heart every single time it beats.
And that brings us to our 7th and final tool in the kit, a golden spice that really gets to the root of the problem: turmeric. The magic ingredient here is called curcumin. And since we've already figured out that heart disease is, at its very core, a disease of inflammation, then turmeric is one of the most powerful tools we have. It works by stopping that initial inflammatory damage before it can even start. Just one little tip: always have it with a pinch of black pepper. It dramatically helps your body absorb all that good stuff.
Okay, so we've got our 7 amazing tools, but here's the thing. It's not enough to just add good stuff in. We also have to stop doing the stuff that's causing the damage in the first place. What you take out of your diet is every bit as important as what you put in.
I mean, just listen to this quote. It's so incredibly visual, right? High blood sugar, which comes from a diet full of processed foods, literally acts like tiny shards of glass, scraping and scratching the delicate lining of your arteries. And those little cuts and scrapes, they're the perfect place for inflammation to start and for plaque to build up. Sugar is enemy number 1.
So what are we talking about here? It really just boils down to 2 main things: processed sugar in all its forms, soda, candy, all those hidden sugars in sauces and dressings, and refined flours, things like white bread, pasta, pastries. Your body basically treats them exactly the same as sugar. Cutting these out gives your arteries a fighting chance to heal.
Whew, okay. I know that was a ton of information. But just knowing this stuff isn't enough, right? We have to actually do something with it. So let's turn all this knowledge into a simple, totally manageable challenge that you can start today.
So here's your mission, and I want to make it super simple. Don't try to change everything overnight. That never works. Just pick 2. Only 2 foods from our list. Maybe you decide you're going to have salmon for dinner twice this week. Or maybe you'll swap out your afternoon crackers for a handful of walnuts. That's it. 2 small changes.
So the question is, which 2 are you going to start with? You know, your heart beats for you over 100,000 times a day. It never gets a day off. It deserves the best fuel you can possibly give it. By making these small changes, you're not just eating differently, you're investing in your future. You're investing in more energy, more years, more time to do all the things you love. So, which 2 will you choose?